And welcome to another edition of the Bullheaded Podcast. I'm your host, per usual, Sean Tyson, here with Zoo and Peewish. How you fellas doing?
Doing all right, man. Thank God, as Zeus said, pre-production for Christian McCaffrey, virtuoso. Man's got 20 touchdowns with 3 games left. He's hitting that 25 touchdown mark, boys. Rushing and receiving, of course. I think he's got like 13 and 7 or 12 and 8, respectively, leaning towards the rush. But screw Darnell Mooney, man. He had that thing in his lap. That Hail Mary. Let's be honest. It's probably better that they lose, get a better draft pick. But man, I just wanted to beat the Browns so bad. They look good in the first half, man. But man, Joe Flacco, I know we might talk about him a little bit later, man. But he's been real nice coming out of his damn near retirement and saving this Browns team that was looking for a captain of their ship, man.
Yeah. Shout out to Joe Flacco coming out of retirement and throwing dimes like he hasn't
Warner
football.
Kurt Warner style.
Yeah, it is incredible what he's pulled off. But Christian McCaffrey, man, biblical performance, man.
Yeah.
With almost a full point PPR. I know he had a 40 piece, man, half point, 39 points. Thank God, because my team really shit the bed. Really shit the bed. A lot of guys getting a lot of donuts and 2-point performances. So Christian McCaffrey carry the load, save my franchise to advance to the Final Four in my work league. I got to get it done, beat my boss. It's a good feeling.
Oh man, he's gonna take away your pay if you beat him.
Oh, dude, first thing I saw him today, I'm like, Christian McCaffrey. He couldn't even hate on him because he has him in another league. Couldn't even hate on him.
Nope.
He's that good, man. But shout out to Christian McCaffrey for saving my franchise. And I'm ready for the playoffs, Final Four, baby. I'm ready.
Let's go.
It's a big week.
Yeah, man. I've definitely been on my fantasy buy. Shout out to Jalen Hurts. I hope he gets this sick game out of him, and then he's ready for the next week, and hopefully he can lead me to a playoff. I don't know. Championship's going to be tough in my 1-8-man league. I'm not going to lie after seeing some of the scores this week, watching it. But we'll see if Jalen Hurts is able to pull through for me. But speaking of Joe Flacco, he'll be coming up later in the pod. But the one thing we can all agree on with this NFL season has just been the injuries have altered every team. Probably half of the league has experienced either a quarterback injury or injury to a star player. And looking at the quarterback position, I kind of asked the guys, what are some teams that they're record-wise, and I think all the teams I said are currently in the playoffs right now.
Yep.
So with the Colts, Bengals, and Vikings, I asked them just off aesthetically looking at these teams, how they would perform in the playoffs. Not about, do they deserve it? None of that stuff. Aesthetically, how does it look? Who do you not want to see in the playoffs, quarterback-wise? And Peewish, I'm going to start with you.
Who do I not want to see in there?
Yeah.
Man, I'll say this. Anybody that's known me since about pre-COVID, I've been a huge Gardner Minshew fan. I think he's one of the funniest guys in the league. Man's broke his hand on purpose with a hammer just to stay in college and have some more beers and just enjoy his time there. Not assuming he'd ever make the NFL.
Crazy.
Well, hey, man, he came out kind of hot. I think it was in 2020 on that Jaguars team. He proved that he was a viable backup quarterback, and he's come in a year where I don't think the people had a lot of expectations for the Colts. I think the surprising thing for them has been their defense is actually a top 6 fantasy defense this year. Obviously, take it for fantasy. And, their division is a little iffy, so they got a couple gimmies each couple games. But I just don't like watching him play, man. I really don't like watching him play this year. He's playing very safe. He's game managing. I understand that that's what you got to do. Zach Moss has faltered a little bit the last couple weeks, but he's still a quality back. They're getting JT back potentially with Zach Moss injuring his shoulder. There might be a little bit of switch back to the JT starting role. But, man, other than Pittman, I just can't stand watching him throw to anybody, man. Josh Downs, I thought he was going to have a better year. Not really doing as much. He had a nice little start, definitely quieted down. And I think it's because their defense has been playing so well. They're running the clock, just kind of managing the game. As for the Vikings, man, first we thought it was Josh Dobbs was going to be the savior of this team, right? And then he just kind of imploded. And now we're seeing Mullins, who actually had a pretty damn good game last week. Got Jordan Addison involved. I think he heavily benefited from Justin Jefferson being back. And now you're forcing teams to really respect both guys as well as the guy running up the seam in TJ Hockenson. So I think Mullins has the best weapons out of these three teams. But, man, there's something about Jake Browning, man. There's something about Jake Browning. He just lets it fly. He's got two. Zoo, I know you're not a fan of him, but he can be a number one wide receiver in this league. T. Higgins had a monster game last week, only 4 catches, but he made them count, 2 touchdowns. Obviously, we know Jamar Chase injured. I'm not sure if you guys know the exact timetable, but I've heard missing a potential little bit of time, maybe a week or 2. Could be a little bit longer. But I just want to watch this Bengals team in the playoffs. I think they're always dangerous. We know what Joe Mixon can do if they got the offense flowing. Jake Browning is willing to take shots. I think he is the highest upside of these 3 quarterbacks. So yeah, if I'm ranking them, I don't want to see the Colts in. I wouldn't mind the Vikings, but they are an NFC North rival, so I ain't going to root for them. But man, I just think the Bengals, they deserve it. But obviously take into account that the Vikings do probably have the best lock-in possibility of getting into the playoffs just because the NFC is a little bit weaker and bottom-heavy compared to the AFC. So I think the Colts are really going to be vying there with like the Texans, the Bengals. The Bills are obviously still in question at 8-6 as well, coming off a nice, huge win against the Cowboys. So it could be tough for the Bengals, but if you're talking about aesthetics, I'm trying to watch the Bengals and I'm not trying to watch the Colts.
Man, I completely agree, man. This kid, Jake Brown, this is the thing. He's a rookie. So we don't know his upside right now. He's coming in. We don't know his downside. We don't know his upside. We haven't seen the range of outcomes, right? Like, you got a guy like a Mullins, like he's been a backup quarterback for a while. He didn't look that impressive. Like, he threw 2 interceptions. Like, one of them was god awful. So, like, we've seen the ups and downs with some of these. Like Gardner Minshew, you know what Gardner Minshew is. Like, he's a nice, steady backup quarterback that could come in if a guy gets injured and just be just a little average, maybe a little below average starting quarterback. Like, just be a nice little, like, as you said, game manager.
Yeah.
But this Browning, even in the pocket, he can move a little too.
Yeah,
he can move a little. I like his pocket presence, man. When the people get in, he doesn't get sacked and take major losses. Like, he can move a little in the pocket. His eyes are always looking downfield. Like, with Joe Burrow's out, like, I thought this Bengals team was going to be irrelevant since Joe Burrow's pretty much saved this franchise coming in as the number 1 overall pick. But this is why you always draft quarterbacks, because just in case, because injuries right now, like I have not remembered a season like this with the number of injuries to the quarterback position, like especially with the physicality of the game. They're trying to like protect offensive players, but quarterbacks are getting knocked in and out right now. So drafting this guy to come in and ball out, they haven't really missed a step. Because I remember when he came in and had to play against the Ravens, an elite defense. This is probably the
top 2
with the Browns, like up there with the Browns, top 2, top 3 defense. Even though he threw a pick, he looked good. I remember watching that against this is the Ravens, and like he didn't look that shook because that's just Burrow's out. You come in, try to lead the offense, no time to like adjust or whatever. He came in and he immediately looked good, even outside the interception. I'm like, okay, that happens. Like, I watch him play, I'm like, okay, this guy passes the eye test, and the numbers, like, he got 7 touchdowns, 3 interception. Like, he got over 70% completion percentage. And like you said, like, this Bengals team actually got some tools. Obviously, we all know about Jamar Chase, and you guys like T. Higgins. He's a nice little beta. I alpha dog Jamar Chase.
Beta's crazy.
Yeah, he a beta. T. Higgs beta. Yeah, that's all I gotta say. T. Higgs a beta is a nice beta. You need a number 2 on the team.
That's true.
And then I want to shout out the running back. This kid, Chase Brown.
Yeah.
He got a little juice in him. Like, we see this trend right now in football, like the smaller running back with the speed as like as a change of pace guy.
Jalen Warren.
Yeah, Jalen Warren, Keaton Mitchell, like he tore his
Spears.
ACL, like Tajay Spears. Like, yeah, that injury is brutal. It tore his ACL. So Devon A-Chain. So you have these change of pace backs, that these smaller built guys that have a little juice in them. You got the big bruiser and the guy with the juice. I like Brown. Like, Joe Mixon's the bruiser back. He's the goal line back. He's the veteran there. Yeah, he gets touchdowns. Like, I don't know if you saw Joe Mixon's touchdown run they had, because he got hit and he was still able to push through. Yeah. So with Jacob Brown, like, that offense is still legit. And as you mentioned, like the Colts, and I'm sorry, that it's just not a good team. Like I know they got I know they got a nut.
Yeah,
like
Pittman
their
might be out
record
for a
is a
while.
lot better than I thought would happen this year. Like you got a bunch of 8-6. Like that division is just mediocre. It's just mediocre. It's
I think Texans are 8-6 too.
Yeah, Texans are 8-6. Yeah, Jags are 8-6. Like I already told you, I'm out on the Jaguars after the high. I'm telling you, like that just scares me. So I'm out on him. Obviously, he's trying to power through, trying to play his best, but he's not A+ Trevor Lawrence right now. He's been awful.
Yeah,
like he has a fumbling issue. Like this one about Trevor Lawrence.
He just dropped.
Yeah, like I don't know what that was. Like he got a massive fumbling issue right now. Like the Texans are losing all their good receivers. CJ Stroud had a concussion. Like I am shocked that they got that win. Like absolutely shocked they got that win. Shout out to them, but they got injuries too. So they're in a very mediocre division, and their points score points against. They're +1, so right in the middle. So that's a little better than I expected. I had them more of a below average team, but shout out to them. They make a nice little cute little Cinderella story with Gardner Minshew stepping in with AR getting injured every single play. He plays football. Every time that brother tries to run, he gets injured. So the Colts are a cute story. And the Vikings, my God, I don't even know what to think about the Vikings. You go from Josh Dobbs, who had a nice little Cinderella run, winning these games where he doesn't know a single thing. He gets benched because he played awful the week before, putting this Mullins guy in. And that guy ain't the answer either. Like, you got weapons like Addison, who's absolute stud. Like, this guy as a number 2 option. Like, Justin Jefferson is back.
He's a beta. Yeah, he's a beta.
Yeah. I don't know, man. He might be an alpha though. Maybe they got 2 alphas. Maybe they got 2 alphas. For a rookie, this guy is a touchdown machine. Recency bias? I don't know. I don't know about that. Jordan Addison, this guy.
I'm with you on this one. Addison is on my fantasy team. He's killing.
He is an elite deep threat. I know.
You're forgetting the great You're forgetting the great T. Higgins seasons that he's had too.
Okay, he has some cute seasons, man. But Jordan Addison's rookie season has been awesome. Like you saw him step in when Justin Jefferson got hurt, and this guy took over as the alpha role on the team, even with the TJ Hockenson. This guy has been a touchdown machine. So they got weapons. This guy Ty Chandler, don't know a single thing about him, but he looked good. He looks good. Like Alexander Madison,
he should be the number 1.
Yeah, Madison, like his first couple of weeks, just mid, just a regular RB2 on a team, like nothing special. Ty Chandler had probably his best game of his career, so we'll see a little more on him. But the quarterback does not excite me at all, man. Give me the rookie. Give me the rookie upside right now, taking over Joe Burrow, filling those shoes in, and not gonna lie. Would Joe Burrow's Bengals right now have the same record as Jacob Browning? If Joe Burrows was healthy, I think they might have the same exact record right now.
They might one game better. I don't know. Maybe.
I don't know. I think Browning has been playing elite football, especially for a rookie. Like outside of CJ Stroud, who else can you say is playing that elite of a level as the quarterback position? So I'm gonna give it to the rookie.
Browning. Shout out to Washington. I know they're in the playoffs, but that's where Browning's from. So maybe whoever the head coach is there has got a thing for quarterbacks because he got Michael Penix coming up, and Penix is definitely going to be a first-round pick. So when I thought of this question, the first thing I thought of was who would I enjoy just if a run, and I know we're going to talk about this later, but if a run were to happen in the playoffs, like say they win 2 games, I would just rather see Gardner Minshew in the playoffs and his personality. I think his personality would be more enticing. Yeah. I think everything around that situation with, Anthony Richardson, I know they were up high, and the first couple of games he looked decent to where it's like, oh, we got a little bit of a solid future. But Gardner being battle tested with him starting in Jacksonville, I think he was with Philly for a little bit, just being around the league a little in different places and stuff like that. I feel like his personality, his team, I think I would trust it more and I would just enjoy it more as a fan. Because no disrespect to Browning and Mullins, I will say the skill talent on both the Vikings and the Bengals are way better. And I guess you could argue if you're looking at it from the opposite side, like, well, look, I'd rather watch a team with better skill talent. But I just think, Browning and Nick Mullins, more so Nick Mullins, I don't think the Vikings have any clue what they're going to do at quarterback. They had Jaren Hall, and I thought it was weird when Jaren Hall was there. I don't know if he was injured when Josh Dobbs had just got traded there, and that's why they started Josh Dobbs. I'm not sure what that situation was. Yeah. And you just never got really – you didn't get a chance to see what Jaren Hall could do because I mean, I don't know that. I'm not going to sit here and say I'm a scout and know the stark differences between Jaron Hall and the Cincinnati quarterback Jake Browning. But I mean, you never know with the Vikings. Maybe if they started with Jaron Hall, maybe he could be having something similar to what Jake Browning is doing, because he does have the weapons, and with Jetta's coming back around that time, maybe it could have been a different story. And he has Hockenson, which he is insane. But I just think Gardner, just from a TV personality like standpoint and watching him, I think he would just be cooler, a person who I would like to root for, because Gardner, for me, he is a backup, and we all know that. I think he truly believed, and it's just probably him as an athlete. I think when Trevor got drafted, I think he truly believed that he should have still been there and been the starter. And, Trevor's struggling right now. We all get it. Like, he's been in the league 3 years, I guess, 3 years now. And little side note, that draft class, if you look back, Trey Lance, Mac Jones, Zach Wilson, and now what Trevor's looking like, that draft class is looking pretty bad. It's not looking great. It is not looking great. But I think Gardner during that time was thinking to himself, like, I still should be the man in Jacksonville. So I think he's probably also being thrilled, because these guys are competitive. He's probably looking down there in Jacksonville like, I know you guys are 8-6, but look at where I got my team, and you had your savior in Trevor Lawrence. And I don't know if they would. They probably wouldn't meet up in the playoffs. I doubt it. Like, I don't think Jacksonville would play.
I was just thinking about this. If the Colts were to win the division, let's say, they'd actually probably end up facing the Browns as the top wild card slot, which that Colts could win that game. I'll take the Browns, but I'll take the Browns. But it's not like they're not playing in Cleveland.
They'd be on the road. But see, I always feel like, and this is maybe just me thinking of December football, January football. I always think when you have to go on the road and it's in a dome, I'd rather do that, because you're not dealing with any type of outside elements or anything weird. It's just you both are on like tracks. So it's like, if you play well on track, then I feel like, not saying the Browns are a track team, but I'm just saying I'd rather be indoors.
That stadium in Lucas Oil gets loud. Yeah. They love their Colts, man. So it's not like it's an easy home field advantage or the road disadvantage, I should say. But I don't know. That'd be an interesting matchup, actually.
For sure. But just to finish that point, it would be just interesting if the Colts were to match it with the Jaguars in the playoffs. That would be a nice little side plot. But speaking of the Browns, the Browns and the Buccaneers, I guess preseason had very different expectations. I know Baker coming in, people were just like, okay, he's there. He's going to do his little year in, Tampa Bay, and then we're going to figure out, because he's probably not going to be renewed, and we'll figure out who our real quarterback is going to be. But the Browns are like, okay, we're going to get Sean back after whatever. He's going to come back. He's going to bring us to the promised land. We're going to get to the playoffs and compete. Well, the Browns have stayed status quo and have outperformed since Deshaun has got hurt, thanks to Joe Flacco, who's been there and done that with a Super Bowl win with the Ravens, Super Bowl win with the Ravens. And then, juxtapose that to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, man. I think most people probably 2-3 weeks ago was thinking, like, just by default, Atlanta was going to win the division. But then Tampa Bay has just stayed steady. Baker has played good this year. He hasn't been great. He hasn't been awful. He's been steady and good for them. I think he's a quarterback that if he's able to get them to the playoffs, he could, demand a decent contract. So just looking at both scenarios, and with them, I think everything's fluid. Stuff can change. But right now they're both in the playoffs. And I was thinking to myself, who is more likely to just go on a run, and you look up on January, whatever, and you're like, wait, the Browns are in the AFC Championship game? Or wait, the Bucs are going on the road to the 49ers to go play them in an NFC Championship? Like, you're thinking to yourself, like, which one is more possible? And Zoo, I'm going to go and start this with you.
Oh, man. For me, man, Baker Mayfield, man, I'm fading you, man. I ain't buying the Buccaneers. Yeah, I said it, dude. The Buccaneers. Oh, man. Dude, it's such a cute story, man. They beat the Panthers. You know my thoughts about the Panthers. It's one of the worst football teams I've ever seen in my time. They beat the Falcons. That team's an absolute joke. Arthur Smith, man, shaved the mustache. Going to get fired. Hopefully end of year, man. And then they beat the Packers, and that was an ass whooping. I give you that. That was a good win, even though I told you, the Packers this year, they're not. I don't think they're a good football team. They had some really surprising games where Jordan Love plays out of his head, but I don't think Jordan Love's. I don't even think he's not even average right now. Like, he has those games where he looks really, really good, and he has those games he's just look.
Yeah, he's playing like a guy who's played football for the first time in his life.
Yeah, so like legit, some of the games where he looks bad, he looks really, really bad. So
Yeah.
I don't buy the Packers as being they were below average football team. So they had a nice little 3-game winning streak. Baker Mayfield, that game against the Packers, probably one of the best games I've ever seen him play football. He was throwing absolute dimes, man. Yeah, 4 touchdowns, man. And if you look at his season, 24 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. It's a career year. It's a career year. Like if you compare that to his best year on the Cleveland Browns, 26 touchdowns, 8 receptions, 63 completion percentage. Like right now, 65 QBR. Like his year this year is pretty comparable to the best year of his career, and that was a long, long time ago. That was 3 years ago. So that's when he was playing peak football right now. Revitalized his career with this team. Shout out to Mike Evans, Mr. 1,000 yards himself, helping him out. Yeah. Get another tutty for him. So, like, it's a cute story, but they ain't winning nothing, man. They ain't winning nothing. Because if you look at the Browns, my goodness. I'm telling you, the Cleveland Browns have some impressive wins this year. I don't know if you guys remember. They beat the 49ers, which is a team that has been ass-whooping everybody right now. Like, Brock Purdy, he's putting up MVP numbers. Like it might have to do a lot with Deebo Samuel's yak ability and Christian McCaffrey. Like the dude could fall on the ground and still get a touchdown. Like the play calling has been impeccable. So they beat the 49ers. They beat the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah, they did.
Like they did. That's one of the. I think I mentioned top 2 defense up with the Cleveland Browns on their defense end. Lamar's like his numbers aren't that impressive, but. Like, he's doing just enough for them on offense. Because obviously, right now, Isaiah Likely steps in that Mark Andrews role.
That's a heck of a catch he had last week.
Yeah, and he's been pretty good. Like, he's been putting up some extremely good numbers. Yeah. He's becoming Lamar's favorite target just out of nowhere. Like, Isaiah Likely is one of his go-to guys right now. So, like, beating the Baltimore Ravens.
He's what Kyle Pitts should be.
True.
That's how Kyle Pitts should be.
I'm telling you, it's Arthur Smith syndrome, man. Like he's contaminating Bijan, Drake London, Kyle Pitts. These guys on any other offenses and any other schemes, man, they would be utilized to their full potential. So, like those are just like a couple of wins. I'm like, okay, the Cleveland Browns they beat some really, really good teams. And when you're in the playoffs, you gotta beat some really, really good teams. And the Buccaneers, man, they could beat up on some bad teams, man. But it's against good competition. They have absolutely zero chance. Zero chance. So like it's a cute story. Like you can have some nice wins. You can beat the Titans. Like you can beat the Saints. You can beat the Bears. Like the Vikings. Like I'm just telling you, this is all their wins right now. They beat mediocre teams, and it's good for them. They're in that same tier, so they could beat on guys that are slightly below them. And shout out to Baker Mayfield. But I'm going with the Cleveland Browns, and just because of the defense and their physicality, even though they're without Nick Chubb, like Jerome Ford stepped in. He's been looking pretty good, enough,
but he's
he's a very solid running back. A lot of it is just due to the offensive line being awesome. Yeah. Kareem Hunt is still a really good goal line back. Like that's one thing he does. He can still get touchdowns. Like when they get in the red zone, they smash it in. And Joe Flacco is a guy that I question a lot of football teams why this guy was not a backup quarterback. Because Joe Flacco right now on the Cleveland Browns, Jets obviously because he was over there. So like I don't know what happened over that. Because, like, Joe Flacco's like the 3rd quarterback on the Browns right now. Like, they were starting a bunch of other quarterbacks, but Joe Flacco as the backup has been looking the best. So, this is a guy that could be a backup on a lot of teams right now. This guy can still throw dimes. Like, he had a little interception, but throwing the ball downfield, it's still a pretty throw. That's a pretty football.
And they got weapons, too, to throw to.
Yeah, like Amari Cooper's have some big games with Joe Flacco. So, I'm like, shout outs to him getting the quarterback roulette right now. So, go with those Cleveland Browns, man.
You know, I'll agree with you here. I do think the Bucs are one of the more surprising teams this year. Just to your point, Baker, I was not expecting much, but they have a 3-to-1 touchdown interception ratio with over 20 touchdowns.
Yeah, it's in high volume too, like 3,000 plus yards.
And we talked about Rachaad White, man. That guy's had a coming out season as well.
Yeah,
career year,
workhorse.
They finally got Chris Godwin going again this past week. He had a monster game. I agree. And you know what it is for me? They're going to be the worst division winner if they win the division.
Yeah. Which I hate that rule. I cannot stand that.
A lot of bad teams in division.
Which means they got to face the Eagles or the Cowboys. and that ain't happening. All right. Now the only thing is they would get home field advantage, but it's not like you're playing home field advantage in Buffalo where you're used to the snow and everything. They get to go down to the pretty ass sunshine just like you get to.
Yeah.
So, Jalen Hurts, obviously, let's hope he is able to stay healthy. I know he was illness, knee injury, whatever was going on with him, man.
Mm-hmm.
Let's hope he stays healthy because the Cowboys, I know that they had a rough week last week, but the Eagles are also faltering just a little bit. So that division race is a little wide open right now. There's no surefire with only 3 games left. So, yeah, man, I'm not leaning towards the Bucs on this one. For me, the Browns, man, they're 2-0 with Joe Flacco. They're 2-0. They beat the Jaguars in a nice little shootout type game. They had a nice comeback win, which I think is just a momentum builder, a confidence booster that Joe Flacco can come in and win you a game. David Njoku has been a monster lately. He's really filled in that number 2 receiving role that a lot of people, Sean, I know you and I thought Elijah Moore was going to have. And to be honest, I thought Elijah Moore was going to have. And the thing is, I thought he was actually going to do better with Flacco because they played together. They played together, and he actually loved throwing to Elijah Moore in New York. So maybe they will get him involved as teams harp more on Cooper and have to start respecting Njoku a little bit more. But yeah, man, that defense is just ridiculous. I mean, it's scary to watch him play. I'm surprised my Bears put up 17 on him, if I'm being completely honest. They look pretty good in the first half, but this team adjusts. They don't have to blitz that often. They do just to throw you off, but they just have such a damn good pass rush that they can trust 4, maybe a 5th guy blitzing. But man, yeah, I mean, the only thing that scares me, they've had some weird losses, man. I mean, they took, they lost 28-3 to the Ravens, and then they come back and then they beat the Ravens. They lose. They beat the 49ers. They barely beat the Colts. They lose to the Seahawks, blow out the Cardinals, and then they lose to the Broncos and the Rams.
The Rams one was kind of,
yeah. And so, you're just kind of like, man, this team's just unpredictable. They've actually given up a lot of points on defense. They're middle of the pack in points, but they just don't give up yards. And the thing is that's due to any turnovers. They're giving up field position a lot. They're having to punt the ball more. But to your point, Zoo, if they end up being a top wild card spot, that means they get probably play the AFC South winner, man. And none of those teams scare me. And that sets up a nice little date with either the Dolphins or the Ravens. Dolphins will be tough because we know what that offense can do, but the Browns defense, we know what they can do. And the Ravens, they've proven that they can beat them. They're split this year. But in Baltimore, I'm very interested to see how that game goes. If that was to be the matchup, and let's say the Chiefs don't just win out and Ravens falter or whatever. So I'm leaning the Browns. I just think that they have a better chance to get out of the first round than the Bucs do. And you never know. I believe in more of a crapshoot with the Browns than I do with the Bucs. So I'm also leaning the Browns.
I'm gonna have to make this a clean sweep. When I first posed this question, my initial thoughts was to go with the Browns. And to all of you guys' points, the defense, man, is suffocating. It's like you said, they don't have to blitz as much. They have Myles Garrett. They have guys on every level. And the coordinator just knows how to dial it up and put his defense in the most opportune times to make the best plays. And look at which is, like I said, we got 3 weeks left, but look at the playoff bracket now. Kansas City being a 3rd seed, Cleveland being a 5th seed, Jacksonville 4th seed. It's going to be interesting to see how this all lays out matchup wise. Because I'm very comfortable just looking at how, to you guys' point, Joe Flacco, he's been there. He has Elijah Moore that maybe he can get going. He has Amari Cooper. You have 2 backs who are serviceable. They all play their roles. Jerome Ford's kind of the, pass catching, explosive back. We saw, I think, that game against Pittsburgh where he had that run down the sideline where like he was running a 4-2. And then you have Kareem Hunt when he gets down to the goal line, he's just going to be able to get the football into the end zone. Thinking to myself, just looking at this bracket, I feel very comfortable with like Cleveland in every game they would play in the playoffs right now with the setup currently. Like it changes. Teams are going to come in and out probably from the AFC. Less likely in the AFC, more so in the NFC. But like Cleveland versus Jacksonville, I'm picking Cleveland. Like Cleveland versus Cincinnati, I'm probably picking Cleveland. The only team that I would not pick them against is Mahomes because of pedigree in Baltimore, but I would be kind of nervous with Baltimore because that's a division game. So they know you. This is not like a matchup where you probably played them 2 or 3 times in the last 7-8 years. Cleveland knows Baltimore, so they would not be intimidated in that game. So, like, just looking up and down, like Miami, cool. They are an explosive offense. But I'm telling you, when it comes to the playoffs, defense always travels. And when you have a quarterback like Joe Flacco, like if this was Dorian Thompson-Robinson, he's a rookie, I'd be nervous. I'd be like, I don't know, because he would probably put them in more positions where he's probably have a 2 turnover a game and the defense can't recover as fast when you have so many turnovers. But like, you know, with Miami, like that offense, I love it. Tyreek and them are explosive, but I don't know, man. I feel like they are street fighters. You get in a matchup with the Cleveland Browns, they're going to make it an ugly game. And usually when a team that is used to playing ugly makes it ugly, you know what they remind me of? What was that year when Tennessee was playing? When they got to the AFC Championship game? Wasn't that, I can't remember. And I think they played, who was it? They played, I guess, the Bengals in the AFC Championship game. That's the team that remind me of. Now, Tannehill's a step up from Flacco right now. Well, not right now, but during that time he was. I feel like that's how they would play. Like Tennessee mucked it up, made it nasty, and bingo, there you go. They're able to, next thing you know, they're in the AFC Championship game. So I think the Browns would be in a position.
Flacco, former Super Bowl MVP, people forget, man. He led a team to a Super Bowl and he won the MVP. I'm not saying he's
in a similar situation.
He's not the greatest quarterback of all time, but you trust him more than your average quarterback because he's at least had experience.
He's a discount Eli Manning, basically. Yeah, got it.
Exactly.
He just manages the game, and he just kills giants. Just manage the game, kill giants. That's what he does.
Exactly. Mahomes is next.
Mahomes, buyer beware. Not buyer beware, but beware, Mahomes. Like, you know what? You don't want to be in a situation where, because they just Kansas City just looks all out of sorts. I know they got back on track last week, but they just don't look.
Rasheed Rice, man, he might be a true nice little number.
Rookie wide receivers show up late, so he's been balling. He's been balling.
Pacheco's gonna have to be the guy for them in the playoffs. He's gonna have to. They're gonna have to run it 20, 25 times. He needs to be up and down the field and not make Mahomes a game manager, but so you don't have to deal with it.
48-yard catch. Yep.
Yeah.
And shout out to Andy Reid for still having Tony on the roster, because I tell you what, he's better than me. He is better than me. He is. That's why he's a head coach and I'm not, because he has the patience. I don't. As a fan, if I was a fan of that.
I think he probably had to go home and eat 10 cheeseburgers just to cope with the pain of watching him play football, man.
Yeah, you see Patrick Mahomes just raging on the sideline. He's like been extremely emotional about the struggles right now.
He's got to chill out.
I feel like all this like animosity and blame, like he doesn't want to blame his teammates, so he's just trying to blame everything else possible. But I feel like inside, he's like, man, we keep calling plays for this Kadarius Toney guy. This guy a bum. This guy can't catch. He's dropping offsides. Like, he's been horrendous.
And it speaks to the receiver room. Like, what in the hell is behind Kadarius Toney to where you don't have enough trust in anybody behind him to put? I mean,
he's awful too. He's awful.
The only thing is Toney. You have to respect his speed, which I guess I can understand that. But if he can't even catch the ball, what's he gonna do?
That's the thing.
And his catches turn to turnovers, which is that's a double whammy. You can't have that.
Or neutral zone.
The Chiefs have to. The Chiefs, I don't even know if they got a first round pick this year. Maybe they do. They have to go receiver. I don't want to hear nothing about lineman, D-line. I don't want to hear nothing. If they don't go for a receiver, that is going to be an indictment on the franchise, because it's clear. And if you look at all the teams that we're talking about, they all have multiple weapons. I know they let go of Tyreek, but dude, go get another receiver. There's so many in the draft. Like, stop with this. Rasheed Wright, respect, but come on. Let's be a big boy and get a big boy receiver.
And the thing is, Travis Kelce, he's dropping a lot of passes this year.
Yep.
He is not the Hall of Fame Travis Kelce we saw last year. That was him at his absolute peak. Like, we definitely seen some regression with this guy, because this guy has dropped a lot of passes this year. It's not only the other receivers. Like, Travis Kelce has an off year.
Wait, Zoo, are you referring that the reason why he's not playing like a Hall of Famer is because he's with Taylor Swift?
I'm not referring to anything. All I gotta say is, like, he got a Hollywood girlfriend. He got the podcast on the side with his brother. It sounds like he's like setting up for his next life.
Distractions.
I'm not gonna say distractions, but he just got other hobbies now. Like football,
other distractions.
Yeah, he's talking about the pains of his body, like feeling aches and pains. I'm like,
he's setting it up.
He's setting up like about.
They
he's up there in age. The thing is, he's old in football age. Like he's 34. So like if you retire 35, 36, that's like okay, that's very very reasonable. So
not to say I'm a Hollywood script guy, but like if somehow Kansas City and Philadelphia got back to the Super Bowl and like Kelce, Jason Kelce was able to win, I would not be shocked if they both retired.
Just
on some like,
Jason Kelce's old too.
He's older.
He's a couple of years older.
He's like
that would just be the bookends of like both of my sons. His mom, both of my sons won, and then whatever, just a Hollywood ending. But we'll see with the Chiefs. Like I say, you can't doubt Mahomes, but their receiving core is pretty disgusting. So, getting into our Week 16 bets.
There is no nobility in poverty. I have been a rich man and I have been a poor man. And I choose rich every fucking time.
Gotta start off, man. Gotta start off with my man P. Bush. He finally got him a W.
Man. Number
finally
2.
got him a W, man.
Number 2, I'm telling you, I'm starting a streak to end the season, boys. Let's do it right now. But yeah, man, Rachaad White, absolutely monster game last week on both rushing and receiving. Him and James Cook are kind of on that, just pseudo wide receiver running back kind of guys. Two of what you guys would say, probably more so what we saw of Pollard in years past, is what these guys have done more successfully. Now, obviously, we got to see if they continue to do it for the next couple of years. But Rachaad White, nice touchdown last week. Obviously, Raheem Mostert, Mr. Touchdown himself. People forget, man, he's got 17 touchdowns himself.
Crazy.
McCaffrey's got 20. He's got 17. I think a lot of people slept on him because of his injury history this year.
Yeah,
and his age,
but he somehow stayed healthy.
Yep.
You know who apparently lit a fire under his ass was Steve Smith, man, the old wide receiver for the Panthers. He was like, he came up to him early on in his career and he just said, well, how do you keep getting out of bed and get on the field? He's like, because I still care, man. He's like, age shouldn't matter. And then he's like, from that point on, he goes, I didn't care. I just wanted to win. I want to score. I want to do my job. So Mostert, always a safe bet, but I ain't sticking with him this week, man. I'm going with a hot hand in James Cook against the measly Chargers. James Cook. And I'm going with TJ Hockenson against his former team, the Detroit Lions.
Tight end.
Here's my reasoning. James Cook, the Bills, I've been saying it for years, boys, and I'll say it again. When they decide to run the ball, they can beat almost any team. Yep. And we saw what they did to the Cowboys, who are supposedly a great defense. And James Cook manhandled them. And both the rushing and receiving, he got 25-plus carries, dominated the game. I just think the amount of touches he's getting has really taken away from Gabe Davis towards the latter half of the year. He's been atrocious. He is on waiver wires in most of my leagues. And I just think James Cook is getting way more opportunities. And Stephon Diggs has also been a little quiet as of late. They're riding James Cook, riding Dalton Kincaid, and then the Josh Allen rushing attack, man. And then TJ Hockenson. I just think that after this Addison game with Justin Jefferson, they have to severely respect at least 2 of these guys at any given time. And TJ Hockenson is going to be more of those 8 to 10 to 12-yard routes that are just going to be more open and comfortable for Mullins. I think they're going to target him in the red zone. They don't want Justin Jefferson to get going, break the big play. Same thing with Addison. These are both big play wide receivers. I'm going to pick the underneath guy who's going to be having those mid-range catches for a touchdown this week for the Vikings. Because they're going to have to pass the ball if they want to stay in this game.
Interesting. James Cook is very interesting. Like with the offensive coordinator they let go, they have definitely leaned more heavily on the run. Like Josh Allen is throwing a lot less. You see an offensive scheme changing pretty much.
Like 100 yards or something.
Yeah, James Cook had a unbelievable game. Like Dalvin Cook
went off.
His peak is over. His little brother has definitely showed out and showing people that he's not like people like we just associate him as Dalvin Cook's brother. Now he James Cook. Now he's the brother now. Yeah, Dalvin's the old guy in the Jets.
That was his brother.
Yeah, exactly. Now like, that's like the guy in the Jets. Oh, that's James Cook's older brother over there. So got the James Cook making a name for himself, man. But this week, man, last week was brutal, just absolutely brutal. Because like when the Falcons went up, I'm like, okay, Panthers ain't scoring. Like this team is just awful. And I got to give it to Bryce Young. Had a nice little drive at the end of the game. Like beat the Falcons. God, Damn, the Falcons are awful, man. I tell you, this team is awful. I was just picking the more awful team, but oh my, I still can't believe they lost.
Just don't touch the NFC South.
Lost. Like, my God, the Panthers are awful. Like watching that game was painful. It was just absolutely painful. I was just watching for my bet, and absolute waste of my time, man. Just an absolute waste of my time.
It's pretty bleak for the Panthers, man.
Yeah, they don't have their draft pick. Bryce Young, obviously the rookie, so I still give him a chance. Like, rookies have bad seasons, especially with the lack of talent allowing. Like,
God,
got rid of the wide receiver one, shipped him out for the draft. Shipped him out for.
If you sold high on Adam Thielen, you're a smart man or woman. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, and Thielen finally regressed to the mean because first 4 weeks, man, looking like an alpha dog with the numbers he's putting up. But that guy's past his prime, man. This week is tough. A lot of big spreads, and I'm a little nervous about a lot of big spreads, man. A lot of injuries, too, this week because there's a lot of asterisks right now because Tyreek Hill is that brother playing. It's tough, but I'm going to go with the Dolphins, man. Dolphins -1.5 against the Dallas Cowboys, man.
Ooh.
Yeah, I'm leaning from watching two bad teams. Like, I'm making a bet. It's going to be on some good football teams, man. My God, that game. I can't believe I watched any minute of that game, man. But I'm talking about this Dallas Cowboys team. This is a 50-50 game. I'm just taking the -1.5 because the team's at home. And pretty much Dallas Cowboys on the road is not the same team. Like when they are in Dallas, absolute domination, right? And I got to give it to them. Beating the Eagles, that was impressive. But they were at home. They were at home. They dominated. And when they played against those Buffalo Bills, man, like I told you, that record is I'm telling you, that record for the Buffalo, that is a great team. That record doesn't really show how great of a team that is. Because if that team makes the playoffs, I would not want to see them in a wild card game.
No.
I would not want to see them in a wild card game. And this offensive change, Josh Allen pretty much telling them, okay, let's chill a bit. You don't need to be Superman all the time. Let's lean on the run game, man. Like, you only have to throw a couple times, and they were able to dominate. They were able to score 31 times without Josh Allen jacking up 40 passes. So, like I said, Dallas Cowboys, they had that one great win over the Eagles and a legit playoff team. But other than that, like Miami Dolphins, this is an elite football team. I'm putting the asterisk that Tyreek Hill needs to play, obviously, because the Tyreek Hill is gone. Because right now Vegas saying Tyreek Hill is playing that game.
He's going to play, yeah.
Because it would not be a 1.5 point spread.
No.
If Tyreek was out, because that spread would be
even though Waddle stepped in nicely last week.
Waddle stepped in nicely
against Sauce.
Yeah, like that's the thing. The thing about Miami is very similar to Dallas. They just beat up on bad teams. They just beat up on talent. Yeah. They just beat up on like a lot of turnovers. So like a lot of Raheem Mostert, cheap little tutties. They just like run it in. So like they force a lot of turnovers against these bad teams. So it's like two very similar teams. Like two elite teams that beat up on bad teams and struggle with like playing against other good playoff teams. So right now we're going to see a nice little game. We're going to see which one's the better playoff team right now because they are in very similar situations. Like if I remember, like record wise, I think they have the same record. Like they both got 10 wins. They're both in the top of their division. And they both got elite offenses right now. And the defense, I know the Dallas Cowboys defense, Michael Parsons, those boys, man. Like I go like the running attack. I don't know about their run defense. I don't know about their run defense because right now I love my boy Devon Achane and Raheem Mostert right now at home with Tua and Tyreek.
That's what I'm thinking about.
I'm just watching like they expose bad teams, but this is a perfect opportunity for them to show out to have a big win because they lost to the Eagles. They lost to the Chiefs.
Yeah, they gotta have this game.
They beat the Jets, whatever. Like the Jets, like they put up the white flag with Aaron Rodgers. All I hear is Aaron Rodgers news of him not playing because the season's over. So this is a perfect opportunity to have them as a statement game at home, only -1.5 point spread. So they just gotta win. You gotta beat them by a field goal. Like,
and you know what, Zoo? This is a huge game for the AFC East because if they win this game, it puts the Bills out of reach of catching them, in my opinion, unless tiebreakers go a certain way. But this Bills team just beat up on the Cowboys, and we can really measure if the Dolphins are legit. And I think that's the big thing because, the Cowboys are played on the road at both games, so you could say that it's pretty damn near similar facing both of these AFC East teams. And we saw what the Bills did. You better believe the Dolphins are taking a playbook. This might be a beautiful week for Tyreek Hill if you're playing against him because I think they're going to try and run the ball down their throats.
Oh, I hope you're right.
One or two big, because I'm praying Tyreek scrubs.
I hope you're right, man, because I'm playing against Tua. I'm playing against Tyreek. So I swear to God, Raheem, the dream, must start, must play, Tony Machine, man. That's all I got to say, man. Please have him give me a Raheem game, because I swear to God, man. No A-Chain either. No A-Chain. No A-Chain.
You going against A-Chain too?
I'm against the whole Miami Dolphins offense, man. Thank God she doesn't got Raheem the Dream, man.
Sorry.
Thank God. Hey, I got Christian McCaffrey back here, but she got the Miami Dolphins over there. So I'm a little nervous right now. I'm a little nervous, but I'm hoping you're right. It's a heavy run attack. And
I think it might be. Because they're going to try and dominate the ball.
Dominate possession of the ball and keep.
That's going to be a hell of a game. Is that Sunday night?
No, it's 4 o'clock game. The 4 o'clock game.
It's the America's Game of the Week.
America's Game of the Week.
Yeah.
4 o'clock.
Nice.
Yep, Fox.
Miss Joe Buck and Troy Aikman on those, man.
Yeah, they don't seem like the same type of broadcast.
Oh, not gonna lie.
ESPN Monday
night. They had a lot of bad games on Monday night.
Yeah.
A lot of bad.
That's not the premium game. I guess. What do you feel? I feel like Sunday and the 4 o'clock is like the premium. Yeah.
Sunday night.
I feel like they're the premium games.
And America's Game of the Week.
Yeah. I feel like those are the premium Sunday games.
Used to be Monday, and now Thursday and Monday are just sorry, man. Sorry.
I guess you could say Amazon is probably the worst, and then it's probably Monday, and then
they had the Bears Panthers on there. We all know that was just for drafting purposes.
they're just trying to get real estate. They don't really care.
Two birds, one stone, man. Let's get these bad teams out of the way.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing.
Man.
So
I want to hear Sean's long shot.
Be good. That game is going to be. That's a pick 'em. I think that's a massive pick 'em, especially if the Dolphins run the ball like crazy.
Yeah,
and it's gonna
be a
good game. I got burned last week, man, with Russell Wilson, Sean Payton. Thought they were going to be able to get on the fast track with Detroit.
Laporta
saw a little blood in the water, but who in the heck would have called Laporta going for 3 touchdowns? Jared Goff actually playing well in a decent game. And that right there is just kind of a telltale sign. Listen, we saw what Denver was at the beginning of the season. I really am not sure who they played in that whatever 6 out of 7 games they won, but you should trust the team that's been the most consistent. And I think the Detroit Lions were the most consistent team. I knew they were the most consistent team, but I got caught in my hand in the cookie jar trying to ride the hot wave with the Denver Broncos. So this week, I was thinking to myself, like, let me pick a safe game. Let me pick like a plus 110 or plus 107, something easy. Then I was like, nah, this game right here is a statement game. This is a statement game. Massive statement game right here. Going with the Ravens and the 49ers. I think this is a massive game.
Wow.
This is a massive game for both teams. And if you look at both sides where they are, they're both number 1 seeds. Some might say, hey, maybe looking at a Super Bowl preview right here. So I think the stakes are going to be really, really high. Like, it's going to feel like a preview to, like, this might be coming down the pipe. So I think both teams are going to be on alert. Ravens losing Keaton Mitchell, man. Like, when you think of a guy who's just an explosive, like, he's not A-Chain, but just having a guy who's in his rookie year, explosive, just another option for Lamar, especially with Lamar when he runs around. Like, and I feel like Lamar this year is like still a quarterback that runs around, but he's not a quarterback that's breaking off like 40-yard runs. He'll get his 15, 10, then he'll just fall. Like, that's just what he's doing now.
Mm-hmm.
So, but having that type of back in the backfield would be useful in a game like this. But, I think Zoo brought it up. Likely, man, he's turning into a down-the-field threat. It is kind of a little bit of a caution because he is still a young guy and he's still trying to find his way in the league. But I do think if, him, Odell, you got Zay Flowers as downfield threats, Odell eating underneath. I think this is a game that they can make a statement. Defense always travels. I'm like a big believer in that, especially when we were talking about with the Browns. I think the defense is going to travel. Well, that's another thing. I think that's going to be because let's see, the Eagles, their defense now is being kind of exposed as like they're okay, but they're not good. Like, I think some people before the season, like, this Eagles defense, they're going to be like top 5. I don't know. And if you look, and I don't know if CMC played in this game, I'm not sure. But when they played against the Browns, an elite defense like that, I didn't see CMC or any of the guys on the San Francisco offense just going up and down the field. That was one of Brock Purdy's like kind of iffy games. And I still think with all my money, the Browns is the best defense in the NFL. I think that's the best defense. But the Ravens are not far behind. So I'm interested to see what they're able to do against the 49ers. Lamar, like I say, his stats are not gaudy, but, I think he can take care of the football. I'm just interested to see both teams in this situation. They're going to rise to the occasion because I do kind of want to see how the Ravens respond because I still think people don't respect them as the number one seed because I feel like people are like, they're just there by default because the offense is not explosive.
Exactly.
The offense is not explosive. So it's like, I think most people are like, the Ravens are probably going to get mollywopped by the 49ers, and that could happen. But at plus 194, I mean, we did see the Ravens, and I know it's the Lions, but they did smack the hell out of the Lions that one game. So it's in there. I just don't know if they can get to that level, but I think they can get to a level where I'm willing to put a little bit of income that is not mine on a game where put a little money on that plus 194. I think bet 365. I don't know if you guys have ever used that.
Yeah, I've seen
plus
that.
200 there. They got the highest odds at plus 200 right now, but I don't know, man. I think the Ravens are in a situation where, look, we want to prove we're one of the elite teams. And I think making a statement, I think it's a Sunday night game. I don't
Monday
know.
Monday
night football.
Listen, we just dogged the Monday night talk about there's no good games, but hey, there's a good game right there. I would like to see what the Ravens do on the road. 49ers, I know they're rolling right now, but like you said, to Zoo's point, it's Brock Purdy. Like, listen, we're probably going to give the MVP to him, which is insane still to think, but like it's still Brock Purdy, and like he could have he could have a down week. He could have a down week against this Ravens defense, and like I said, I don't like going for the, even though I should because I've lost like 2 or 3 in a row, but I don't like going for the plus 110, the safe ones. Plus 194, man. Plus 200. Hey, we'll see. But I'm gonna need Lamar to keep throwing it to Likely because I do like that downfield threat. Even if he's not ready for that moment, just keep throwing it to him.
You need one of those Gus Bus 3 goal line touchdown kind of games, man. That's what you need.
I
don't know, man.
Who else is their back? Who's their other back besides Gus?
Justice.
Yeah. God.
But to your point, against the Browns, McCaffrey only had about 60 yards, but of course, still found the end zone on a touchdown reception. But that's his worst game.
But they didn't have their linemen though. Right. That was the game.
Williams.
Yeah. Trent was out. Trent was out. Debo was also out. So they had some injuries that game. But McCaffrey, please to God, man, give me another virtuoso performance.
Yeah, I need another one.
I'm telling you,
you're talking to the two guys that don't want this.
That Monday night, this is the last game of the week. It's gonna decide a lot of fantasy football matchups, and it's gonna be the last game. I'm gonna be sweating balls, man.
I got him and Debo. Oh man, mama! I need to be down if I'm down 30.
Yeah, I'll be sweating, man. I'm just hoping for a shootout, man. I need Zay to go off. I need CMC to go off. Woo, I'm praying to God.
That's gonna be a hell of a game. That's a hell of a game.
I'm praying it because a lot of these primetime games, a lot of blowouts.
Yeah.
See, Eagles, Cowboys, thought it was gonna be a good game.
Yeah.
Kind of a bad game. So I'm just hoping this is one of those more competitive games because when those good teams get rolling, they have an ability to.
The atmosphere is going to be. It's a Monday night game, but that atmosphere, I think, it's just because I think with it being an AFC NFC game, and it's like this could be a preview. I think that it's going to feel like not a Super Bowl atmosphere, but like a playoff atmosphere in that game. So, yeah, we're all hoping for a great game. And like I said, we'll see what the Ravens got. So make sure you guys tune into our YouTube channel, Quantrill Knows. Make sure you tune into our Instagram, bullheaded_pod, putting all kind of clips up there, whether it's NBA, NFL. You make sure you guys tune into that. Bullheaded X64 with our TikTok, putting the same type of clips up there, just doing different types of sounds and animation with that. So tune into that. Spotify, Apple, Google Podcasts is where you can listen to us. And for me, Zoo, and P-Bush, we are out.